Well, I'm nearly there, boys. I'm nearly there. So, I am progressing through the hard difficulty. I've just managed to get it through Sun Jin Woo, and I went the opposite route. You know, when it comes to people doing this, a lot of people are sticking it with doing the water element because, I mean, it was working for the easier normal version. Why change? I went, you know what? Let's do the wind element. You know why? Because you got the best weapon in the game now usable and ready to kick ass, and I'm talking about the beautiful West Wind. So to give you the rundown on what I did when it comes to wind element, obviously this is the combination that I decided to go with. Clearly the West Wind is the main weapon that's going to be dropping nuclear bombs. In terms of the supports, Min, Meilin, healing, debuffs, all that good stuff is kind of self-explanatory, and obviously Meilin with the shield removal right at the end. The reason why we're taking Alicia is for the debuff removal, the shielding, etc., but more importantly, freezing the enemy, because when the Vulcan is frozen, it gives you more than enough time to safely get off your shot. So that's also a nice little thing. Also, when they're frozen, if you get your shot off and you drop a big nuclear bomb, the enemy could still be frozen, and that way if you have your ultimate at the ready, you can double up on actually doing like crazy amount of damage, so that when you go into the next phase, the enemy will have will be more closer to the third phase, if that makes sense, with their health bar wise. So you can really pile on with having him frozen. So Alicia was very helpful and key here. Curse set for Alicia, blessing sets for the two supporters. Didn't bother changing them up, just kind of kept it how it is, so there's that. Blessing stones kind of went with, you know, dropping their debuff. The reason why I've got sharp perception is because we've got the West Wind, and you need crits, because the crits is where you get the crazy amount of damage, and you want the double reset for the West Wind, so crits are very vital, hence why I've got this Ruin on. And for my Shadow Authority, I also put Igris on because I need crits. Even though I've got crits being provided from my gear set, I just wanted to guarantee myself at a high rate. When it comes to Ruins, went with the Wind Almighty Break, purely because of you're able to do an extra 10% damage when the skill hits. And then, yeah, just for the sake of providing more for wind, I went with this skill because it resets at a high rate. The cooldown is super quick, like 2 seconds, so and it does good amount of damage. You can use it up to 3 times. The power gauge is charged by 1.5% when you are hit. I mean, it's just kind of a little bit of a bonus if you do get tagged, but either way, yeah, you guys will see how effective that actually truly is. So went with the full-on wind set this time around to see if that could help me out, because I have attempted it with running my usual sets, being the water attribute, and yeah, it just wasn't hitting. In terms of my blessings, if I show you guys, we had the critical hit rate damage of 24%, that's legendary. Decreased monsters attack and defense and HP by 1.5, same again, 1.5. Had the ultimate skill damage up by 40%, that's legendary. Decreased the monster's defense by 3.6%, that's rare. And then decrease the monster's attack, defense, and HP by 2%, that's legendary. So really stacking up on reducing his overall stats, and then benefiting from the legendary capping on the crit damage and the ultimate skill. And then this is just there, it's just a bit of a bonus to kind of allow me to do a little bit more damage by reducing the defense, but that's kind of what I went with when it came to me doing my run. Alrighty, let's do this, give you guys some tips, give you guys a helping hand. Obviously, ultimately, it really does come down to the gear sets and whatnot and the power level, so I know that most won't be able to do hard just yet, but just to give you guys a future look on how to go about doing it. So dropped Meilin, went with a Shadow Step. Obviously at this very moment you just want to cater to dropping breakage. Decided to drop Alicia there just to kind of freeze him so that way I can just pile on. Went for the shot, got 1 mil, not too bad. Shadow Step to go in again, as you guys can see with why I have that Ruin, because it resets so freaking quick. Even though it's weak break damage, it resets so quick, and it does decent amount of damage, I will say. So ultimately with the West Wind, when do you want to utilize it? When you've applied the Shadow Step, when you've got the buffs and debuffs from Meilin and Min. Once all of that is in effect, of course, make sure that you've got the amplified draw on by just by you dashing, so that way you can maximize your chances of hitting a crit. And from all of that, you'll be able to achieve a big hit from the West Wind. Obviously, at times you might just have to just drop. So right there, Shadow Stepped, boom. I don't know why I got that. I think that was like 300k, so not the best. But if RNG is in your favor in terms of the West Wind, you can hit some big numbers, which you'll see me hitting, of course. I think at one point, at the very beginning of the stage, or like the phase itself, I had a game where I hit 7 mil. Oh, speaking of the devil, there you go. So yeah, if you're lucky, you can hit really big with that, of course. A strat that it could be very helpful is if I had Alicia at the time, I could have frozen him, hit that shot, 7.5 mil, then I could have done my ultimate because he's still frozen. So that's another combination which you can really capitalize on. But yeah, phase 2 begins when he's below 70%. So make sure that if you want to save your ultimate, so that if you need to get to that, or when you get to like 71%, then drop the ultimate, so when it goes into phase 2 you're more closer than going into phase 3, if that makes sense. So right now we're just kind of getting the damage off, just trying to drop his HP bar as much as possible. I tend to look at the percentages now because it's more easier rather than how much bar he has, of course. So really just kind of piling on at this very moment, doesn't really matter what's going on. I'm just really also making sure to utilize all the buffs and debuffs in sequence with the West Wind to maximize my West Wind crit damage. So 2.5 mil right there, beautiful. So we're now getting very, very close to phase 3. Yeah, so phase 3 is at 45% by the looks of it, I guess. Okay. So now this is the final phase, so just kind of let him... I think I goofed up it. Yeah, I went a bit early here. Now, usually I'll be mad and considering resetting, but then I got 2.2 mils. I was like, okay, hold on a minute, we're still hitting big numbers. That kind of makes up for me not being able to knock him out. And then we hit I don't know, was that 4.4 mil or was that 400k? Either way, we hit big numbers. We hit big numbers. More than enough to actually move into the next phase and final phase. So we're moving over to the final phase with 2 minutes left on the clock. That's something that I would suggest, you know, when it comes to the final phase, do your absolute best to go in there with as much time. And also with me going over with 2 minutes or 2 minutes on the clock, that's actually really solid. So at this very moment, you want to get all the buffs going. I kind of missed with Malin there, so that's kind of awkward. I only hit 900k. Malin would have hit, and actually no, well, no, it doesn't really matter to be honest, because she doesn't apply any debuffs. But either way, yeah, so piling on all the damage as I can. Didn't get lucky with a crit there, that's absolutely fine. We've got 1:40 on the clock. We've got more than enough time. Now, you have to be very, very careful here, because once his HP goes to 14%, that is when he puts up his shield. So you have to make sure that you've got Malin at the ready. So I'm trying my best to be cautious at looking at his health bar and seeing where my Malin is at, because at the same time you kind of want to use Malin to benefit from the buff. So right here I thought maybe I've got enough time to use Malin to reset her back. So obviously I managed to achieve 1.9 mil with that shot. But yeah, I'm looking at the cooldown, and then I managed to do a 3 mil shot, which was bad because he's below the 14% mark and it activates his shield. Now this is where I got hella lucky. Look, 50 shield. You need Malin. You ain't getting past that 50 shield. And just when he's about to absolutely annihilate me, I managed to get Malin in and break his shield. And look, just the West Wind is putting in work. 2.3 mil. It is dropping nuclear bombs. It is just making life a whole lot easier. This weapon, I don't know what they're going to do to top it, but they've got a lot on their plate. And that is what saved me with 48 seconds left to spare. That double burst from the West Wind really is just speeding up the process on actually beating this boss. Yeah, if you guys want to cater to the way, I mean, if your West Wind is nicely built up, I mean, it's an SR. It's one of the best weapons in the game. So I feel like at the very beginning, a lot of people have been building up. And if that is the case, get it on. Get it going. Get your crit rate up, cater to that, and then start dropping some big numbers. It will help you out tremendously. I don't know, I'm just loving the wind attribute more. The fact that they've made it accessible, it's making life a lot easier, I will say that.